7 of the fantasy baseball season, and he has a few hitters I would look to buy low and try to trade for this week. The first guy is Mike Trout of the Los Angeles Angels. So Mike Trout, a bad calf injury, that's going to sideline him for a while here. The reports coming out, he's out 6 to 8 weeks. So in my opinion, he probably tore the calf, but they kept calling it a grade 2 calf strain. But that's a long time to miss 6 weeks to 2 months here. And obviously Trout, still the best player in Major League Baseball in my opinion. So far in the season, 39 of 117 he was. 8 home runs, 18 RBIs, 23 runs scored, 2 stolen bases, a .333 batting average, and a .466 on-base percentage. So once again, Mike Trout was on a tear. Once again, he was the best player, it seems like, here in fantasy baseball. But now with him being out for several weeks here, this is the lowest his value will ever get. And I know you still probably got to pay a decent price for him, but with him being out 2 months, it's obviously going to be a lower price than it initially will be here for Trout. So the last few games before he went down, May 14th at Boston 0 for 4, May 15th at Boston 0 for 2, May 16th at Boston 1 for 4 with a run, and then versus Cleveland in that one, he was 0 for 0 and drew a walk, and then he got hurt in that ball game with Trout. So Trout now, that's going to take us to July. And right now in my league, I'm looking at the Trout owner and asking him what it would take to try to get him, especially if the Trout owner in your league's down there in the standings and he can't wait till July for him to come back and you try to make a deal on a discount. This is definitely the time to do it, that he's fresh off an injury here. The next hitter I would look to try to trade for and buy was his teammate, Anthony Rendon of the Los Angeles Angels. So Rendon, he just came off an injury himself a couple days ago. So on the season so far for Rendon, 21 of 81, 3 home runs, 12 RBIs, 12 runs scored, a .259 batting average, and a .330 on base percentage. So Rendon, in his Washington National days, this guy was always up there in the league leaderboard for batting average title. But now with the Angels, for whatever reason, guys go to the Los Angeles Angels and they're just not the same when they get out there. We saw it with Josh Hamilton. We saw it throughout Albert Pujols' career, which they recently released him, and he went to the Los Angeles Dodgers. But anyway, Rendon, his numbers this season haven't been up to par. And last season as well, it was a mediocre year for him, in my opinion. So the last few games here for Rendon, May 16th at Boston, 0 for 4 with a run. May 17th versus Cleveland, 3 for 4 with an RBI. May 18th versus Cleveland, 1 for 4 with a run. And May 19th versus Cleveland, 0 for 4. So right now, he's only got a few hits in the last couple games here, is Rendon. And I think he's going to break out of the slump. He's too good of a hitter, even though I know sometimes guys get their money and they stop trying and stop trying to learn new things as well. But I don't think Rendon's that type of player. And right here, he's got to be a catalyst for this Los Angeles Angel team with Mike Trout out. And right now, while his value is down there low, batting at .260, this is a definite time to go out there and try to make a deal for him before he gets hot in the summer months and it's too late to get him on a discount. The next hitter is Francisco Lindor, the New York Mets, and this guy's been a total bust and a total disaster so far here for the Mets. The Mets got him in an off-season trade with the Indians and then signed him on the dawn of opening day to a 10-year, $341 million deal. And right now, this guy, he is pathetic, in my opinion, for this Met team. 25 of 132, 3 home runs, 8 RBIs, 18 runs scored, a .189 batting average, which is horrendous, and a .301 on base. And right here, I don't know what the thing is with Lindor. It seems like the Angels, a lot of players come to the New York Mets, and these guys are shells of themselves. But right here in the first year of a 10-year contract, Francisco Lindor, he can't get nothing going. And the only bright spot on his side, he's only struck out 22 times in 132 at-bats. So obviously he's putting the ball in play, but he's been making weak contact as well as Lindor. And the power numbers, they're not even up there, only with 3. And it's just been an abysmal season for him. And this Met team, they've been injured as well most of the season, with I think 12 or 13 guys on the injured list this season. But Francisco Lindor, he's been a total train wreck, and most fantasy owners took him at the end of the first round, early second in their fantasy drafts. And he's not producing, but no way he could be this bad. And right now, you could give up pretty much nothing, in my opinion, to get him with the .189 batting average and only 3 homers. So the last couple games for Lindor: May 16th at Tampa, 0 for 4. May 17th at Atlanta, 0 for 3. May 18th at Atlanta, 2 for 4 with a run. And May 19th last night at Atlanta, 0 for 4. So right here, he's just not hitting the baseball. He's only got 3 hits as Lindor in his last 7 games. So he's not hitting, he's not producing. This Met team, they, like I mentioned, buried with injuries. And right here, Francisco Lindor, he can't find his way out of it. But right now, I still would take a chance on him if I don't get to give up much of anything to get him on my fantasy roster. And he's a total buy low candidate this week. The next hit is Ozzie Albies of the Atlanta Braves. Ozzie Albies, one of the youngest up-and-coming stars in all of Major League Baseball, in my opinion. But so far this season, he's been in a season-long slump. But he's still producing a little bit. Not like Lindor, but he's not giving you much of anything. So far in the season for Albies, 35 of 156, 6 home runs, 18 RBIs, 22 runs scored, 2 stolen bases, 224 batting average, and a 293 on-base percentage. So the average is low. The on-base to batting average ratio isn't that great as well here for Albies, but at least he has 6 home runs, which isn't totally a flop. And he's another guy as well, like Lindor, the bright spot for him, only 29 strikeouts in 156 at-bats, so he's putting the ball in play. Obviously, he's not finding the holes, but another guy with the summer months coming up, I think he could break out in the last few games for Albies. May 15th at Milwaukee, 3 for 5 with an RBI. May 16th at Milwaukee, 1 for 5. May 17th versus the Mets, 0 for 4. May 18th versus the Mets, 0 for 4. And May 19th last night versus the Mets, 0 for 4. So in his last 4 games, he's only got 1 hit as Albies. But now him and the Braves take on the Pittsburgh Pirates in a 4-game set. And versus that pitching staff, I think Albies, he could get things going in the right direction. So right now, while he's in a major slump here, this is a perfect time to buy him low because this guy's too good of a hitter to be hitting in the 220s and not having great fantasy value this season. And the 5th and final hitter I would look to buy low and try to trade for this week's Yasmani Grandal of the Chicago White Sox. So Grandal, another guy who's hitting in the dumps this season so far. On the season, 11 of 79, 5 home runs, 17 RBIs, and a brutal 139 batting average. But he still has a 397 on-base percentage. So right now, the balls he's putting in play, he just can't find the holes. But the good bright spot for him is the 397 on base, which is a great number, especially for a guy hitting 139. And the 5 home runs as well in 79 at-bats is pretty good as well here for Grandal. But he's in a major slump. But no way he's going to hit 139. And right now, he might even been dropped in some fantasy leagues with the 139 batting average. And right now, you don't have to give up much of anything at all to get him. So the last few games here for Grandal: May 14th versus Kansas City, 0 for 3. May 15th, he didn't play in that one. May 16th versus Kansas City, 1 for 4. May 17th in Minnesota, 0 for 0 in that one. He got on base 3 times with walks, though. 3 runs scored and a homer. And May 18th in Minnesota, 1 for 3 with a homer and 2 RBIs. So now he goes to Yankee Stadium. And lefties, they like that short porch in right field. And I could see him this weekend have a couple cheapo homers in his Grandal and get back on the right track. But right now, with a bad batting average and him not really producing for fantasy owners at all, he's a classic buy low candidate because this guy's another player who's too good of a hitter to be hitting under 140. And I think when it's all said and done, about 220s, 230s. But he's a guy with obviously 25 to 30 home run power. So that's a few hitters I would look to buy low and try to trade for here in Week 7 of the fantasy baseball season.